Debates, binders, and sperm banks, this time on the 411. The second of three presidential debates commenced last Tuesday night in front of a national television audience of over 60 million viewers. The ideological kumite was the most enthralling 90 minutes of televised debates in the history of presidential politics that saw Mitt Romney true to form and President Barack Obama back to form. The two men touched on a wide array of hot-button points ranging from contraceptive issues that affect binders full of women to Mr. Romney's 5-point economic plan, or 1-point plan, depending on how you're counting. But the biggest moment of the evening was Mitt Romney's Benghazi gotcha game, where he sought to corner the president on his handling of the recent American consulate attacks in Libya. Now, by this point in a very busy campaign week, the Benghazi exchange has been played on a near endless loop on television, radio, and internet, so I'm sure you're tired of seeing it. That said, we're going to show it anyway because it's awesome.
Governor, if you want to reply
I
quickly to this, please.
I certainly do. I think it's interesting the president just said something which is that on the day after the attack, he went in the Rose Garden and said that this was an act of terror. You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
I want to make sure we get that for the record, because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror.
Get the transcript.
He did, in fact, sir. So let me call it an act of terror.
Can you say that a little louder, Candy?
He did call it an act of terror.
Now that moment was so damaging to Mr. Romney that many right-leaning media types went about attacking moderator Candy Crowley for, of all things, having the audacity to fact-check Mr. Romney in the heat of the moment. Additionally, eldest son Tag Romney got into the fray while on a radio show in North Carolina later in the week. He suggested that he wanted to jump out of his seat and rush down to the debate stage and take a swing at President Obama because he was lying about his dad. So let me get this straight. The son of the Republican presidential nominee suggested he wanted to assail a sitting U.S. president and that the Secret Service was the main reason he stopped. Let's put the shoe on the other hand, as it were. If one Democratic contender, Barack Hussein Obama, had a 40-year-old son who talked openly of punching a President Mitt Romney, that would be the last day his father was considered a contender for the highest office in the land. Speaking of non-existent children, a new study published in the October issue of the Journal of Marriage and Family reveals that child-free women show little to no distress about their lifestyle, despite their friends, family, and society wanting them to procreate. So let me get this straight. These women who don't have to put up with 9 months of bloat and hormonal fluctuations only to be welcomed by years of crying and vomiting and defecating from snotty-nosed terrorists who can't be reasoned with and who only look at you as a walking milk truck and a personal servant, these women still find a way miraculously to be happy in life. I don't believe it. The research must be flawed. In a somehow related story, Fame Daddy, the world's first celebrity sperm donor service, turned out to be a hoax. And I already UPS so many of my samples. But I'm not going to let it get me down. I've decided to find a silver lining in this rain cloud. I'm starting a celebrity service myself, but for female surrogates. And I've got binders full of women signed up to carry men's children. And here's a quick look at a few who are on the roster.
I want to talk to you about women.
And about Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney's for ending funding to Planned Parenthood,
Including cancer screenings.
He said he'd overturn Roe v. Wade.
We have Republicans trying to redefine rape.
trying to force women to undergo invasive ultrasounds.
If you think that this election won't affect you and your life, think again.
Vote.
Vote.
Vote for Barack Obama.
I call them my rainbow coalition, as it were. And if you find one you like, feel free to put a ring on it, or 3, as it were. These left-leaning ladies are in and out of relationships more than Newt Gingrich, and that doesn't sit well with Tag Romney, who's referred to the trio of progressive Obama backers as a 3-hoe punch he would love to ream. And that's progress, Romney style. Next week, we'll talk about the third and final debate in the election, and then we'll be less than 2 weeks away from Super Tuesday. Like us and find us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next week on 411. Thanks for joining me. I'm Matt Simon. Have a great week.